If you are planning your trip to London and you want to do some very British things, then seeing a show in the West End is a must. In this video, I'm going to share with you some quintessentially British musicals and plays which you can check out to make your trip to London as British as it gets. So let's go. Welcome to my channel. My name is Christina and I'm here to help you have the best West End experience. On my channel, you can find tips on how to secure cheap tickets, which shows to see, and also my personal opinion about the shows that I go and check out on a regular basis. So if you like the sound of it, make sure to subscribe. The first recommendation for a very British show that you can go and check out is Oliver, based on a very famous novel by Charles Dickens, Oliver Twist. This is a quintessentially British musical which has actually just recently reopened in London, and it is a very acclaimed production that has received plenty of 5-star reviews. Given that it's a musical, it is very easy to follow because there is a lot of singing and dancing, so even if English isn't your first language, this is a really good show to go and check out. Also, you might be familiar with a movie of the same name, so if you want a little bit more familiarity, then this is a perfect show because it is very likely that you have heard of Oliver Twist or you have experienced it in some way. The story of Oliver follows a boy who is an orphan and is abandoned by his family, and he is living in this workhouse. And one day when he asked for more food, guardians decided to sell him, and from there Oliver goes onto an adventure. First he lives with a very creepy couple, then he meets street gang of boys who are pickpocketing and he meets their leader, and from there he also ends up meeting his original family and living a very happy life in the end. So this story has a happy ending, but throughout it there are various ups and downs that Oliver needs to face. So this is a great musical also to go and check out if you are coming here with a family or with kids. There are plenty of kids in the cast. It's full of uplifting classics that are going to make you want to dance in your seats, such as Consider Yourself, or beautiful ballads such as Where Is Love. Plenty of great numbers in this show that you are very likely to be familiar with, and if you're not, you're going to definitely be listening to them and singing them after the show. I've done a whole review about this show, so you can check it out for more details. If you're coming to London, there is no better show to experience because it is also based in London, so you will be able to compare how it looked back in the day when Charles Dickens was writing about it to how it feels today when you're walking through the streets of London. And spoiler alert, it's quite different. The second very British show that I would like to recommend to you is The Mousetrap. And The Mousetrap is not only a good watch because it's British, but it's also a good watch because it's the longest running play in the world. It's been running for over 70 years consecutively, and it's one of those staples that if you like theater and you come to London, you must see. This play is written by Agatha Christie, who is known for her detective type of stories and true crime drama. So this is no different. The storyline follows a group of people who gather in the English countryside in a guest house, and as they all come together, they realize that there's been a murder. And all of them are suspects and all of them are investigating who has committed the murder, and while doing that, there are plenty of humorous, engaging, fun, and very quintessentially British exchanges that you can see between the characters. Even the set resembles very much a British household, but also the most exciting part about this play are its characters. All of them have their own quirks, and the way that they are delivered are always piquing your interest and curiosity and making you think until the very end who has committed this crime. So overall, witnessing The Mousetrap is witnessing theater history in the making, as the show continues to be one of the most visited shows and also the longest running in the world. If you are a fan of true crime, then there is no better show to go and check out. You will definitely experience a little bit of thrill, a little bit of excitement, and a lot of fun going to see this show. And also by seeing the show, you're going to become the member of an exclusive club of theater goers who know how the story ends, because actually the production asks you not to share the secret of who committed the crime when you leave the theater. So this stays only with the people who have seen the show. Given that this is such a big classic, you are able to see The Mousetrap hopefully for years to come whenever you see this video. So if you're planning your London trip, it is very likely that The Mousetrap will be on and you will be able to check it out. The third show for a very British experience that I would like to recommend to you is Six. Six is a really fun musical that reimagines the life of 6 wives of Henry VIII. It is interesting because you don't necessarily need to know much about the Six Wives of Henry VIII to follow the journey of the show, but if you do, it might be helpful to know a little bit more about their lives. But it's definitely not crucial for understanding this musical. The musical reimagines Six Wives as members of a pop group, and they are all performing and sharing their unique stories and why they suffer the most in their marriages. Each of them has a signature song. Some of them are ballads, but most of them are really upbeat and very much pop hits that you will want to listen to on your run or you would like to dance to after the show. And each queen has a chance to basically express herself and say why they had it the worst in these marriages that Henry VIII had. After you hear them all sing their sad stories, you get to also witness them reuniting and deciding not to compete each other for the saddest story, but rather to reunite and to rewrite their stories and actually live their lives how they wish they had an opportunity to. So overall, it's a really fun spin on the history lesson, but it also allows you to learn a little bit more about British culture, about these queens, and just there are a lot of contemporary also references that might be really fun to watch. I do think that this is probably a show for people who are kind of like in between liking musicals and concerts. It is a little bit over the top in terms of its delivery. It's kind of very glittery, very loud, very bold. So if you like that style of shows, then I think this is the perfect one for you. Also, the queens are super talented because each queen has such a big, strong one character song, and hearing them sing and just being such an amazing performers, it is such an incredible West End experience. This is a show that truly celebrates women, so the band members on stage are also all female. This show is very energetic and is a perfect thing to see if you're planning to go maybe for a night out or something like that, because it actually doesn't have any interval and it ends within like hour and a half, and it's a great show to see with your girlfriends because it's all about friendship and really celebrating women in your life. So if this sounds like a little bit of you, then make sure to check out Six the Musical. The fourth very British show that I would like to recommend is Operation Mincemeat. This is the best reviewed show in the history of the West End, as they say on their like marketing channels, because it has received so many 5-star reviews that they're still counting. It is one of those shows that has started as a small fringe show and developed into a proper big West End sensation, and a lot of people love it for a good reason. This musical is based on a true story that happened during the Second World War, where a secret service in British military operation has planted a fake corpse in the Spanish water with all documents outlining how the Allies are planning to invade Greece instead of Sicily, and that way they sidetracked Hitler from invading Sicily, and this helps the Allies gain advantage in the war. So the story is actually super unbelievable and it was a successful mission. So this musical in a very humorous way explores how this mission has come about, and the brilliance of it comes from really witty lyrics, and this might be a little bit challenging for those of you whose English isn't first language or you feel like you're a little bit rusty with your English, because it is a very word heavy musical. So just go and check it out if you are A, familiar with the story, and B, you have maybe like listened to the soundtrack and you feel like you can follow. Also, that's a really good way to go and check it out. You can familiarize yourself with the story previously, and then when you go and check out the musical, it is a little bit easier to follow because you already know the premise of the story. But Operation Mincemeat soundtrack is available, so you can definitely read the lyrics and listen to it before you go and check it out. The brilliance of this show is definitely in its humor and wit and fast-paced thinking, and also it's poking fun at authorities and just generally the British way of organizations and how superiors act with each other, and how do you come to your bosses for proposals even when it's something such as big scale as a secret war mission. There are plenty of moments in the show that you will laugh a lot. The cast is amazing with delivering perfect comedic timing. Best thing about the cast is that they really quickly swap from one character to the other, and sometimes this is done just with a prop or like different choreography and then lowering or like speaking in a higher voice. So when it comes to this cast, it's probably one of the best that you can experience in the West End, and definitely seeing them deliver this show is something that you will remember your London visit by. The story of Operation Mincemeat is something that has united united fans around the world when it comes to this show, and reminded us of the things that are worth fighting for, and also how love and friendship and support from each other is what helps people go forward in the hardest times. So there are so many things that are paving the path for this musical to be one that is going to be played for a long time in London, and that a lot of people will come to see and remember their London visit by. And my fifth recommendation for a very British theatre experience is to go and check out one of the Shakespeare's classics. While there are plenty of Shakespeare's plays on at different points throughout the year, if you want a sure bet, then you should check out the Globe Theatre, which is the home to all things Shakespeare. It is located by the river on the South Bank, and even if you are not going to see a show there, I highly recommend you go and check it out, because while it is not the original Shakespeare's Globe, it is located very close to where the original theater site used to be back when Shakespeare was writing his plays. But what is very particular about this theater is that it still remains in the form that it used to be, which means that there is a space when you enter where normally in other theaters you have seats and where the stalls are. There you can actually go and stand, and in some cases get a ticket for as low as £5 to £10 if you want to stand for 2 to 3 hours to watch the show. And a lot of the times the actors are actually running through the audience, and you're so close and immersed into this show. Also, you do have the seats that you can get and pay a little bit more for, and they're on the sides, and this is all kind of like in that circular shape. But this is a very, very unique experience that you can only experience in London, so I highly recommend you go and check it out. The Globe has their own website where you can see all about the shows that they're currently having on, so you can see which one of the Shakespeare's classic will be on when you are visiting London. If you don't like any of those, then make sure to just like Google Shakespeare London play, and then you might be able to actually see any other shows that are currently on, and they're like Shakespeare's classics. For example, I recently went to see Much Ado About Nothing with Tom Hiddleston and Hayley Atwell, so this is currently at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane. And then there's also Richard II with Jonathan Bailey at the Bridge Theatre. There are multiple productions of Romeo and Juliet or Othello or Hamlet. So if you're visiting London, it is a high chance that you might be able to see not only a Shakespeare classic at the Globe, but also at the different theatre, especially if you have a particular star that you want to check out, because I was really lucky to go and see Tom Holland in Romeo and Juliet. So Shakespeare's classics are always a great way to be exposed to the British culture and learn more about it. One thing to note is that if you're not a native English speaker, then definitely familiarizing yourself with the show and the plot would be great, because Shakespeare's English is a little bit harder to follow, and it would be super helpful to you if you know the storyline before you go and check it out, so you can really enjoy the experience even if you sometimes miss a word or two. So this concludes the list of my top 5 favorites of very British shows which you can check out in London, but it's worth saying that there are plenty of other British shows which you might enjoy, such as Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which is a staple, and for anyone who enjoys Harry Potter is a must-see. Also, The Play That Goes Wrong is a classic and quite a big staple of the West End, so that's another show worth checking out. And the last bonus recommendation would be Matilda, which is perfect for a family trip, and this is based on a story by Roald Dahl, which is very famous. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you consider a British show, and what would you like to see in the West End? Let me know in the comments below, and in the meantime, if you would like to know more about getting the cheap tickets while you're in London, then check out this video.